As the symbolic torch was carried through Juneau, Alaska on its way to the 2002 Olympics, Douglas Public High School let students stand on city streets to watch it pass by. When it did, Douglas student Joe Frederick unfurled this banner, "Bong hits for Jesus."
Joseph Frederick was a senior at Juneau Douglas High School. In 2002, on January 24th, in Juneau, Alaska, the Olympic torch relay runner was getting closer and closer to Juneau Douglas High School. The school wanted its students to see the runner come by with the torch, which would eventually end up in Salt Lake City. So a field trip was put together in which the students went outside and across the street from the school. There were TV cameras everywhere capturing the whole event. Joseph Frederick was one of the students on the field trip, and he brought a banner along with him. As the runner with the torch came closer, he unrolled his banner, which read, "Bong hits for Jesus." His principal immediately told him to take the banner down, which he refused to do. Because of his use of this slang and his refusal to take down the banner, his principal took the banner away and later suspended him for 10 days. When doing this, she referred to the school's policy against materials that promote illegal drugs. Frederick claimed that he was just trying to attract the TV cameras and that the First Amendment protected his right to display the banner at a public school event. Frederick then sued the principal, and the court agreed with Frederick. They said that he was punished for the content of his speech rather than any disturbance that it had caused. The court said that the school's acts were unconstitutional, and then this case went to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court ruled for Principal Morse, saying that Frederick's action was not protected by the First Amendment. They ruled that schools can restrict speech if it promotes illegal drug use. This court case and many others have helped with the interpretation of the Constitution. The cases have expanded and limited our rights as well. In reference to symbolic speech and content neutral, our rights have been expanded. But our rights have been limited when it comes to rights in a school setting and restriction of speech if it creates imminent lawless action. Over the course of history, the Constitution has adapted and changed, and it will continue to do so as the years go by.
Schools has got to stay! Ho, ho!
Dozens of students demonstrated outside the Supreme Court as inside the justices questioned attorneys in what legal experts call the biggest student speech case that's been argued in 2 decades.
The court's decision coming from this case could affect freedom of speech rights for every single school child in public schools across America.
January of 2002 was a big day in the history of Juneau, in that it was the first time not only in Juneau's history but in Alaska's history that the Olympic torch run was going to come through town. And as the torch runners came down Glacier Avenue, surrounded by camera cars and Pepsi bottling companies handing out Pepsis and throwing Frisbees, a kid named Joe Frederick and 13 of his friends held up a 14-foot banner right across the street from Juneau Douglas High School that said, "Bong hits for Jesus." They did this just as the runner with the torch and the camera cars came by. Standing across the street was the principal of Juneau Douglas High School, Deborah Morse, and when she saw this banner go up, she immediately crossed the road with an assistant principal and a custodian and told the kids to take the banner down. 13 of them immediately dropped the banner and ran off. Joe Frederick, who was the instigator of this affair, stood there and argued with Principal Morse about his First Amendment rights, saying he was across the street, he was on a public sidewalk, he had the right to hold the banner up and wasn't going to take it down.